Oh, you don't want to miss this one. Today we're going back in time to Modern Horizons 2 and talking about some budget bangers and hidden gems. Well, let me tell you right off the bat, I don't play Modern at all. I have no interest in the format, I have no insight into it, and frankly, I know nothing about it. But you know what I do like? I like Modern Horizons 2. I bought 2 boxes of it. Lots of power, lots of transformative cards. Take a look at the old Dorothy Voidwalker over there. This guy's doing just nefarious things in the woods, brother. So out of 2 boxes, guess how many Ragavans I got? 0, but I did get all the elemental incarnations like Fury. So yeah, 3 red for a creature elemental incarnation. It's a 3/3 with double strike. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers. Has Evoke, exile a red card from your hand. Very cool card that's spiking recently and one of the $30+ cards from this set. We also had reprints of enemy Fetchlands. You know how many people were rioting down at the Capitol, dude? And Joe Biden finally saw fit to give us the enemy Fetchlands, like the Scalding Tarn here. There are tons of powerhouse cards in this set. Frankly, I'm surprised to see boxes at less than $200 currently on TCG Player. Great set to crack or draft. But you know what's better than Kraken Packs, like a crack addict, is to just buy some singles for your decks, dude. And there are a number of budget bangers in this set. Less than $3 cards you should consider for your commander decks. These are cards that can easily add a little power for minimal costs. None of these are super staples, but the goal with any one of my videos is for you to be entertained, number one, and maybe see some cards that you haven't and learn something new. How about this card? Wham bam, thank you damn. Black for a sorcery, destroy target creature. A creature destroyed this way cannot be regenerated, don't even try it. Has overload for 2 white. Very versatile Orzhov spot removal / board wipe. Is Timmy Drip over there going off on turn 2? We'll kill his commander, I guess. Going off on turn 6? We'll hit him with a board wipe, dude. I use this in a few decks. The Orzhov pips kind of keep this back, but it's a great card. If you're running a Wrath of God, you may as well replace it with Damn. If there's one thing I like better than a meat lover's omelet, it's a buff robot, dude. And we got Academy Manufactor out there. 3 generic mana for an artifact creature. It's an assembly worker. It's a 1/3. If you would create a clue, food, or treasure token, instead create 1 of each. This is great in any deck where you're making treasures or clues. Let's be honest, there are too many food decks, alright? This guy has a house in any of those decks. So cheap for what you get. Check out the art on this thing. Beautiful card, Mythic for under $3. You got Svailun of Sea and Sky. 1 blue for a legendary creature merfolk god. It's a 3/4. Has indestructible as long as you control at least 2 other merfolk. Whenever it attacks, draw a card. Other merfolk you control have ward 1. Amazing merfolk commander, or in the 99 of a deck helmed by a merfolk, for those that want to do that. Not much else to say here, but very powerful in those decks. This has got to be one of my favorite cards out of the set. Sarah's Emissary, 4 white for a creature angel. It's a 7/7 with flying. As it enters the battlefield, choose a card type. You and creatures you control have protection from the chosen card type. Give them all protection from creatures. Swing your team in, buddy. This is a monster card. It's fairly costed and under $3. No one really expects how brutally game-changing this card can be, especially if your opponents are like playing at instant speed or something like that. It's just hoses whenever you need to hose, dude. You got Vile and Tumor. Look at this guy. He just got done making pizza. He's got spaghetti sauce all over his hands. 2 black for a creature zombie warlock. It's 2/2 with death touch. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for a card, put that card in your graveyard, then shuffle. Stick this in your zombie decks. Go get Gravecrawler. I've also slotted this into Reanimator decks. It's a redundant, bit overcosted Entomb effect that you can recur and blink in those decks. Plus it's a decent blocker with death touch. This can get us any card. If you need an effect that has flashback or on Earth, there is that added synergy as well. Look at this buff little Woodland Animal. You got the Ignoble Hierarch. 1 green mana for a creature. It's a Goblin Shaman, 0/1 with Exalted. Has tap, add black, red, or green. Look at this dude. He does CrossFit. He's out there in the woods. He's making it happen. Well, the Bant one was super expensive forever and is still $10. Not sure why this little fella is under $3. Go figure. Oh, you want to talk about hidden gems? This one's hidden in a forest somewhere, dude. You got the Sanctum Weaver. 1 green for an enchantment creature, Dryad. It's a 0/2. Has tap, add X mana of any one color where X is the number of enchantments you control. Best mana dork in an enchantment or aura deck. Surprised this is under $2. Honestly, I'm shocked. Maybe it's because the art is so goofy. It's Groot's little sister getting ready for the prom, dude. This can be a real monster in certain decks. Adds to your enchantment count as well. Nettlesis. This is a budget banger if I ever saw one. 3 generic mana for an artifact equipment with living weapon. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. Has equipped for 2. What? Dude, Never had a Nettlesis crash your house party? This is a prime power for budget equipment and or enchantment decks for only $2 or so, dude. I have no idea what's going on in this art. It's just like a purple spray and some hedrons or something. We got Unmarked Grave for 1 in the black for a sorcery. Search your library for a non-legendary card, put that card in your graveyard, then shuffle. Another piece for reanimator decks. This is a budget Entomb, but with that non-legendary restriction. But Entomb's a little more expensive. This is $1.50, brother. And you got the Ornithopter of Paradise. 2 generic mana for an artifact creature Thopter. It's a 0/2 with flying. Has tap, add 1 mana of any color. Oh my god, dude. This goes in so many decks. Makes me sick that this is so cheap. I literally vomit every time I look at the price on this thing. My poor sweet mechanical bird living in the shadow of his older brother, Birds of Paradise. This is Birds of Paradise, but it's better, dude. But only better in non-green decks, because Birds of Paradise can't go in those. Do you need a mana dork? I mean, come on, do you care about creatures? I mean, come on, dude. About to have a bunch of people in the comments saying, well, actually, Ornithopter of Paradise is not better than Birds of Paradise. I know, dude. Listen, I'm just trying to make it entertaining for y'all. Then we got Persist. It's 1 black mana for a sorcery. Return target non-legendary creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a -1/-1 counter on it. It's the little guy from Game of Thrones, dude. He's just being a really cheap little reanimation spell. This is comparable to Animate Dead. Cannot get legends, so keep that in mind. We have Dressdown, 1 in the blue for an enchantment with flash. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Creatures lose all abilities. At the beginning of the end step, sacrifice Dressdown. This can nullify some combos and some win conditions. It replaces itself and increases your enchantment count for decks that care about casting enchantments. This card has some interesting interactions, and there's an article on Channel Fireball dealing with that. Suffice it to say, it's under $1. Now, Vindicate has been power crept right out of the format pretty much, but it's 1 white and a black for a sorcery, destroy target permanent. Whoa, whoa, buddy, any permanent? That's pretty good, but the fact that it's at sorcery speed is pretty bad. Contrast this with Anguished Unmaking. That's an instant that exiles, but can't hit lands. It's not as good for those reasons. Vindicate is kinda crept out a little bit, but it's 90% cheaper for a slightly different effect. Goblin Bombardment, 1 in a red for an enchantment. Sacrifice a creature. Goblin Bombardment deals 1 damage to any target. I can't say bombardment. Cheap, efficient sacrifice outlet for less than $1. This was a $6 card prior to this reprint. Set your buddy on fire and ballista him over the fence, brother. Oh yeah, we got the Bohemian Grove. It's just a place where the trees are made out of hands. It's a green-white for an enchantment. Other enchantments you control have Shroud. Has 1, sacrifice Sterling Grove. Search your library for an enchantment card, reveal it, then shuffle, put that card on top. It's wild to me that this is budget. It's enchantment protection, an enchantment tutor, and it will trigger your enchantresses. This used to be about $20. Now it's less than $1. Speaking of enchantresses, I mean, if this lady walks into the bar, what are you gonna do, dude? You got Sithis. Harvest Hand, green and white for a legendary enchantment creature, Nymph. It's a 1/2. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you gain 1 life and draw a card. This art looks like she tooted in her hand, throwing it at you and your friends. This is a cheap, efficient, legendary enchantment that rips for under $1. And we got the old Tireless Provisioner. 2 and a green for a creature, Elf Scout. It's a 3/2 with landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a food token or a treasure token. In landfall decks, this is really efficient token producer. Make lots of food, right? No, you silly goose, you're going to make treasures. And if you're not putting out a tons of lands, I don't know what the heck you're doing in green, but every single turn this is like a little ramp. And you got Thought Monitor, 6 and a blue for an artifact creature construct. It's a 2/2 with affinity for artifacts. Has flying. Whenever this enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards. Cool flavor though. I like that it's just peeking into your mind, dude. But this is a Mole Drifter for potentially 1 mana in your artifact decks. Not too hard to pull off. Plus you get a 2/2 flyer. Very cheap for what it does in artifact decks, under $2. Oh man, I wish I could hear this card. I bet you she's shredding some Ronnie James Dio solo. You got the Harmonic Prodigy, 1 in a red for a creature, human wizard. It's a 1/3 with prowess. If an ability of a shaman or another wizard you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. Too bad this isn't in blue, but in Izzet colors, this is a house, dude. If your commander has a triggered ability and is a wizard or shaman, consider this card. Amazing card. And you got the Liquid Metal Torch, just a necklace turning itself into some dragons, dude. Who cares? 2 generic mana for an artifact. Tap, add colorless, or tap, target non-land permanent becomes an artifact in addition to its other types until end of turn. Best 2 mana rock that produces colorless. So much you can do with this thing, stuff you don't even think about when you're building the deck. If you have artifact synergies, think about this very cheap card. Do you have Memnarch in your deck, dude? Are you running Vandal Blast? I mean, come on. Brainstone. 1 generic mana for an artifact, has 2 in tap, sacrifice it, draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. This thing looks just like my Uncle Louie. I've used this in top deck manipulation decks that want more than 1 Brainstorm. 3 mana is fair for this effect, it's just that Brainstorm is just really good. Alright, let's finish strong with this little guy. You got the Goblin and Narcomancer. Red and green for a creature Goblin Shaman, it's a 2/2. Each spell you cast that's red or green costs 1 less to cast. This is a fantastic card in any Gruul deck. It pays for itself so fast. I love this little guy. He's conjuring a ball of pure joy over there. This is a broad, highly efficient cost reducer. And it's a Goblin, it's a Shaman, I don't know if I care about that, and it's 10 cents. And listen, there are tons of other cards from this set that hold value. There's a sword, there's Caldra, there's like 10 cards that are over 20 bucks. I am a fan of this set. I think this was one of the most transformative sets for Commander in recent years. I'm also surprised by how cheap the sword is in this set. So go check it out. Go get creative. Flex those brewing muscles. This is Nicky G from Better Commander, signing off.